Welcome to another video from Cardboard East. My name is Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. Today, we're going to talk about the top 100 board games from Japan. Part 2. Now, you may be wondering, Jay, you talking about Asian board games, why is there a Ticket to Ride box? Well, most of the people who watch these videos are in North America and in Europe, at least that's what YouTube tells me. And this has been the standard size, box size for a game for many years now. And people say, Ticket to Ride box, Ticket to Ride box. Everything should be a Ticket to Ride box. It fits inside the Kalex. I'm going to say, no, it doesn't have to be. In fact, today's part 2 of the top 100 board games from Japan, I'm going to fit all the games in this box. Or at least I'm going to try to. Hi gamers, as promised, each video in this series I will be giving out free games. So I've already contacted the winner of Salad and Meat Master. In this video I'll be giving away Walk and Roll from Origami Games from Singapore. This is a roll and write in a Chinese restaurant. This is the expansion where it's a Korean restaurant. These are both excellent games. I've did reviews of them. You can check out some of the videos that I've done before. And with that out of the way, let's get to the list. Botanical Lab is a deck building game where players are scientists, getting seeds and fertilizing them into plants and scoring points. The twist to this game is that every time you fertilize your plants in one lab, you fertilize all the other players' plants in that lab. And it creates this really interesting flow to the game that I really appreciate. And it has what I think a lot of really good game designs do, and that is it forces you to get into the mindset of your opponent and trying to understand their flow and how they're playing the game so you could piggyback off of their actions. But at 4 players, you have usually 2 players try to piggyback off each other and other 2 players try to piggyback off each other. But at the same time, each player is piggybacking a little bit off other players, and you kind of slowly, subtly get this flow of like plant, fertilize, victory points, plant, fertilize, victory points. And the only problem that I have with the game is that it's small cards. And I don't have anything against small cards in particular, and these are actually really good quality. The problem is that when the whole game is a card game and all the cards are small, I find it a little bit frustrating. And I think it's a really lost opportunity. They could have made these cards bigger, they could have done away with the boards and just had it been more of a focused card game. Something similar to the lines of like Race for the Galaxy. Be that as it may though, I think Botanical Lab is an excellent game, definitely one of the better analog lunchbox games out there, and definitely better than their previous dinosaur game, and which just really wasn't for me. But this one is definitely worth exploring. And we're gonna take this box, and we're gonna dump it all in there. Done. Now, this is part of the Yokohama series. There are 3 of them, Yokohama, Yokohama Duel, and Yokohama Roll and Write. I don't think this is a bad game. This just happens to be my least favorite of the 3. This is also the first appearance of a Kazu brand game, and you'll see plenty of those games like on this list. I do think Hisashi Hayashi is an excellent designer, and I'm always excited to see his new games. Now, Yokohama Duel is rather interesting because there aren't many Euro or resource management games that are strictly for 2 players. There's not even a solo mode to this game. Now, most people are familiar with the deluxeified version from TMG. May they rest in peace. But I never really liked the deluxeified version because to me, the whole idea of Duel was that it's small, fits in your backpack, and you can take it wherever you go. And I think if you're looking for a 2-player resource management game, you're going to be hard-pressed to find some that are better than Yokohama Duel. And that's because Yokohama Duel has a lot of things going for it. You have the workers that you can upgrade from 1, 2, 3, 4. You have the foreign workers that come in. You can get technologies that give you special powers. You get to build your houses there, so every time you go back to the same resource, you get better and better at getting those resources, and it allows you to snowball and grow and grow and grow and get lots of momentum in this game. So what it has in it, like the bare mechanics, it does really well. And that has been Yokohama Duel from a Kazu brand, my number 89. Everything in there, squeeze it in. Oh, didn't see you there. Now, this is the first trick-taking game on this list, and you will see plenty more because the Japanese market loves trick-taking games. This is the Kickstarter version that came in this amazing, cute little box, and the quality of the cards is a nice linen finish. Really good quality of cards here. I've been really, really impressed with this production. Now, what I do like about American Bookshop is that the design is actually very, very clean. There's not much going on to it. Now, the twist to this game is that not everyone commits a card to the trick. Depending on the player count, once all the numbers on the cards go above a certain number, like 14 or 16, then the trick is over and you collect the cards. But what's really rough about this game, and I think the reason why it's the lowest trick taker on this list, is that there are a lot of negative points and it's quite punishing. Now, if you're a big Hearts fan, where negative points, it's a very commonplace thing, this might be more your speed. My groups tend to like things that aren't as negative. I mean, I could have -3 and -5 points, but like -17 points is kind of rough. And it could just be that, my group is really bad at this game. But I do say that even though the rule set is very simple, you do have to spend time with this game to really understand how to play this game well. Because the game can be quite punishing. You could have really high negative or really low negative points. And it's really difficult to get those positive points. Because if you're collecting one color, you get a little bit of another color and your points crash. But I do think that if you want to have a trick taker and you do want to explore with it, I think American Bookshop is an excellent choice. Taiki Shinzawa, the designer of this, has made a lot of games. He is very prolific. I think in a matter of years, he's made over 20 trick-taking games. And this is definitely one of his best. Yeah, you're cheating. It's just a deck of cards. Like, but I knew it was a deck of cards. What are you going to do about it? Again, this is another trick taker, and this is the first time you'll see Sashi and Sashi on this list, and you'll see more of his games on this list because I do think he is definitely one of the better publishers from Japan. Black Coffee Lab is really fun, very bright, very colorful, but it is a little rules heavy for what it is. You do need to spend a little bit of time getting to know the game. Black Coffee Lab does something really interesting that a lot of trick takers don't do, and that is once players play a trick, not one person takes all the cards. You draft the cards that have made the trick. And as each card is a part of a cup, and you slowly put 3 cups together, and then you score accordingly. One big note is that this game does take a lot of table space because you're going to have eventually 12 cards splayed out in front of you, and not just you, but each player is going to have that. So you'll need some table space. The other problem that you may encounter is that those red cards, man, those red cards have 2 cups on them. One is for the 3 players and one is for the 4 players. And even though it should be quite simple, every time I teach this game, they're like, I thought this is for the 3-player game. I thought it was a 4-player game. It says it on the card. It says it on the card. I said this during the teach. Nobody listens. But I do think that Blend Coffee Lab is really rewarding. I really like the playstyle. I love the fun quirkiness of it, and it definitely adds something a little bit different when it comes to trick taking. I think it's definitely worth exploring. Oh, I'm going to put this piece of paper in there. I don't want you to think that I am cheating. Now, out of all the games that have been on this list so far, I think this is the first one that I would say is more family friendly. Not only do you get these really adorable sheep, but you get this really nice cards, and it feels a little bit like Carcassonne, like you're putting these cards down, like not having the river going down, making sure the roads are kind of connected, getting your sheep there. Now these represent the sheep, and eventually you're going to place these sheep dogs down, and then you're going to be slowly moving the sheep to these safe places so they won't get stolen by a thief. And if a thief ever gets onto your sheep, well then that player will steal sheep from you. I really like the 30-minute gameplay of Sheep and Thief. It's really simple, really approachable. Anyone can play it, even kids. And I've heard people complain about the sheep here. I think these are absolutely adorable. And they say they kind of roll and blow away. And I'm wondering, where are you playing your games? Are you just outside? Are you in a tornado? Why are these rolling away? Like, they don't roll that badly. But I do understand the complaints of the player mat, because the player mat is just a piece of paper. See, here's the paper mat. Not the greatest, but the card quality here is actually really good. And that could kind of sour people's mouths, palates, game palate. Anyway, there are later versions of this game where you actually get a proper board. Unfortunately, the box is quite big, so you kind of have to take that with, that's the way you want. If you want the board, you get the bigger box. If you don't mind the board and the paper mat, then you can go with a smaller box. Come here, my precious. Come here. It's getting filled up. I don't think we could do it. No. We're gonna do it. We can do it. if you believe. Let's Make a Bus Route has been my least favorite Sashi game for quite a while. I think when it came out, people were really interested about it because it's a flip and right where the central board everyone shares and you're kind of making this bus route. But for some reason, it just didn't click for me. I think part of it was the board there. If you want to hear my thoughts about it, check out my top 10 roll and rights from Asia video, which I'll put somewhere here. Later on, Yellow picked up the rights to the game and called it Get On Board and made this version of it. Now this is the Taiwanese version of Get On Board, and instead of using your dry erase boards, you're actually putting wooden components onto the board. I really like that. Now I do miss Takako Takarai's art, and she does all the art for the Sashi games, but something about this version I just like more. The problems that I had before is that when I teach the old game, that people would draw consistently the markers all over the map, crossing over the icons after I say, please don't cross over the icons. Oh, I'm going to do it anyway. It's like, Tom, what are you doing? But this one has wooden components, so that's no longer a problem. And it's a lot easier to see the colors and distinguish the colors of the different buses. The bigger bonus for me is that the original game only had one map, which was Kyoto. This one has two maps, New York and London. But I like that even though it's multiplayer solitaire, there's a central board where everyone is working together, and it creates this almost Tron Cycle-esque game where you're trying to predict where other players are going so you can go there and not create more traffic and lose a ton of points like I do every game. Ultimately, I'm really happy that Yellow picked this up because now more people can play Sashi and Shashi's games, because I definitely think they're worth the hunt. Oh, did I mention that the Chinese version comes with this cool metal bus? Super dope. And it goes into the box. Now, this is the first game from Oink Games on this grander list, and you'll definitely see more of their games on it because Oink Games is one of the biggest Japanese publishers around. They're now international. They've been around for over a decade, making really good quality games with excellent design. You can see a previous video I did where I talked about the best and worst of Oink Games, where I kind of cut my collection in half. This is the one that I kept because it has two of my favorite mechanics in games, and that's one is bluffing and two is gambling. And that's mostly because both of those mechanics force you to get into the mindset of the players. The game is actually quite simple. Everyone gets a card, you put some money in the table, and one card gets flipped over from the deck, and that's the Kobayakawa. Everyone will have a choice of drawing a card and then placing one of the two cards face up, or taking the top card from the deck and replacing the Kobayakawa, and then you can decide whether you're going to bet and who has the highest card. And it's really interesting how a game that's that simple can create a lot of fun tension around the table. And while I think you can have fun with 3, I think it definitely shines more at the 5 and 6 player count, and you see more cards at the table, and I don't know, there's something about this game that creates this really fun tension and a lot of laughter in just 15 minutes. And that's just the deck of cards and some metal coins. I'm not saying that all games should have this minimalist approach, but I think Oink Games definitely specializes it. And if you're really curious to try some games that play at high player counts and that fit in your pocket literally, then I think Kobayakawa is definitely one to check out. Getting tight. Now this is the second of the Yokohama trilogy. You have Yokohama, Yokohama Duel, and then now you have Yokohama Roll and Write. And this is just a roll and write version of Yokohama. What's really interesting is that it's a little bit more than that. They could have just had one map, but they gave you 2. So I like extra bit of oomph that they gave to this roll and write. This is a beast. It does take a huge table. What I love most about this is that even though it's a roll and write, it feels like a bigger game. Now there isn't an English version of this, but there are rules on BGG and they translate all the cards. And the reason why I like Yokohama Roll and Write more than Yokohama Duel is that this has that logistic puzzle that Yokohama does. Not in the same way, but you're definitely unlocking these boxes that are closer to each other and you try to cross a chain of events with these resources, and it has this really fun combo-y moments where you just want to shout out Yokohama! Now, well, I have played this multiplayer, and you can play this from 1 to 6 or 99 if you really feel like it. I do think it's an excellent solo roll and writing game. And I like how it's just 3 dice and a paper and a pencil and a couple of cards, and it creates a lot of tension around the table about which one of the die you're going to take, and then are you going to take the card, are you going to take the number. A lot of really good choices. If you want to know more about this and my thoughts, definitely check out my previous videos on Yokohama Roll and Write, the second best in the Yokohama series. So it's going to fit. This is such a great game. I absolutely love this game. What I love most about it is that it's a trick-taking game with just 2 suits, and each card is both black and white. There are 2 numbers on it. They both add up to 37, so the 1 white is paired with the 36 black, and the 1 black is paired with the 36 white. And then you kind of slowly go down in between. And it's a must-follow game, and you must follow, and you will always have the suit because all your cards are both black and white. And I love that nice, simple twist. This is a little bit tricky though, because in this game, there are negative points, but your goal is to gain equal sets. So you have black, a trick that's led black, and a trick that's white. If they're the same, then you get positive points. So 1 plus 1 is 2, you get 2 points. If you get like 2 black and 2 white sets, that's 4, that's positive 4 points. But if you're off, let's say 2 black and 1 white, that's 3, that's a minus 3 points. That simple twist is really, really interesting because it kind of creates this nice tension of, okay, I have a pair, and I'm just gonna go out, just lose everything the best I can. Or sometimes you think, well, I got 2, and now I get 3, and now I kind of want to even out and just get 4. It becomes quite challenging and risky. But the most interesting part about this game, and when you play it with 4 players, you will definitely see it, is that all the information's open. So I can see who has black tricks and who has white tricks, and who wants black and who wants white. And it creates these fun little moments. 2 players who both have black and they're both trying to lead white, but everyone else is leading black, and it puts them in a very tough position. And it allows you to find ways to, okay, if I lead white, everyone else is going to tank it, and I will get it, and I will win, and I'll be 3-3 and get positive 6 points. That's what I did last game. Needless to say that you get all of that and all that tension in this nice little tiny box. I want to give a shout out to Portland. I visited Portland earlier this summer. My wife had to go there to give a speech, and so I just came along because Portland is really known for being the trick-taking capital of North America, and there's a trick-taking guild there, and like everyone there has tons and tons of trick-taking games. They meet up all the time every week and play trick-taking games. Amazing. If you can get on their Discord, wow, it's a treasure trove of great conversations about trick-taking games. And this is how I met them. I met them through a buddy of mine that I had online, and he introduced me to this game. Wow, fantastic. But here, look at that. This is Ghost Snap, and this comes from a new publisher that I just recently learned of called Yuchio. And Yuchio, my Japanese is terrible or non-existent, really focuses on 2-player games, and every game that I played of theirs, I've really enjoyed. Now, Ghost Snap is about Kathy and James. You can see them here on the back of the box. They decided to go to the cemetery to try and take a photograph of a ghost. Yeah, that's a thing. And in the game, you are slowly playing cards, trying to pass cards between each other, trying to trade cards, just to make sure that one person has a camera and one person has a lot of film. And so when they play the camera card, you drop a lot of film cards down, and you're able to take these photograph cards and place them in a stack in front of you. And by the end of the game, if you have enough photograph cards that kind of link together in this giant Polaroid, you'll score at least 12 points and win the game. But the trick of the game is that it has these anxiety cards, and every time you go through the draw deck, you're going to add more anxiety cards into the deck. And if you ever have 4 or more anxiety in your hand, well, then you'll get scared. You'll flip over one of your bravery cards to the scared side, and if no one's brave, you lose the game. If there's too many anxiety cards in there, you lose the game, and it creates this nice, fun little tension. One of the most interesting things that I like about the game is that your character card is either scared or all right. And if you're all right, you're fine. But then if you have too much anxiety, then you'll become scared. And you can't take photographs when you're scared. And it makes this kind of crunching halt to the game, and you got to fix this problem. But it's rather easy. All the other player has to do is just take a card from the top of the deck, slide it into the discard pile, and say, hey, you're all right, and they kind of flip it over. And while that does kind of take their turn, it adds this nice little camaraderie to the game. And you're slowly trying to get these cards, trying to think about who has which cards in their hand, because you can't talk. And I don't know, it just creates this nice little tension and narrative within the game, and I really, really like that. And if you want to make it more difficult, then you can just add more anxiety cards into the deck to start off with. I played this on normal and beat it once out of 3 times. I tried it at Crazy Hard Advance and lost really quickly. But the card quality is really solid. All the cards are quite thick, and the game is just a deck of cards. There's nothing else. This is a 10-minute game, and it's dual language, which is really cool. The cards do have Japanese and English on them. The font is a little small, so take that what you will, but hey, it comes with English instructions and it comes with English on the cards. What more could you ask if your native language is English and not Japanese and you get into this hobby? And we're gonna put all of this in there. I'm just gonna slide it down. Yeah, this is happening. Are you ready? All of these games in this box. Good games don't have to come in boxes that big. You can have them small size, they can fit in your backpack. Once again, gamers, my name's Jay. I play board games from Asia and share what I find with all of you. I'm gonna put some links here, some other videos that I think you'll enjoy. See you there. And it's gonna take me a million years to put all the things back in these boxes, but we did it.
I'm proud of you, baby.
Thank you. That's what it works for. This whole video is just an excuse for my wife to tell me that she's proud of me. Things I do for love.